Hello, folks. This is your Peachy update for the 10th. Kind of interesting. First, we had the Democrats announce that they were impeaching the president on two articles, and then they tried to take credit for the trade deal for USMCA. Man, you got big balls doing that. You know, I think Pelosi fears that speaker gavel being used on her head when the new House is constituted in about another year, and that's going to be happening. The probability of Pelosi holding the speaker's gavel and the probability of the Democrats holding the House just went from slim to zero, in my opinion. I think you've taken that probability and reduced it from the 30 or 40% probability closer to 10. The Democrats have decided to file only two articles of impeachment, one for abuse of power and the second for obstruction of Congress. Notably, they've decided they're not going to try to bring a bribery article, which by the way is one of the explicitly mentioned things in the Constitution with regards to impeachable conduct. The important thing to keep in mind when it comes to impeachment is that attempting to turn impeachment into a no confidence vote is something that was explicitly looked at by the founders and rejected. Okay, so the Senate, being the more deliberative body of the two, even though not nearly what it should be anymore because we've gone to direct election, which was stupid, is very likely to dismiss this out of hand as out of character and out of context with regards to foundational intent. Do we need to go there and actually have a trial? No, I don't think we do. I think the more probable thing that occurs is exactly the opposite. That the articles go into the Senate and they immediately get dismissed. You could peel off three senators on a no vote on that and still get it because you need 50 plus one, and that's likely going to happen. Excuse me, my coffee is good. You guys have seen my coffee before. So the Democrats in the House have taken the position that they're going to come up with the most nebulous things they can come up with. They're, Orange Man bad, number one. Essentially a charge of maladministration, which is what you do in a parliamentary system on a no confidence vote. And obstruction of Congress, i.e., we're not going to go to court. We're just going to claim that any non-cooperation by the executive with anything that we feel like doing, regardless of the executive asserting privileges, is instantaneously an article of impeachment. Well, that, folks, please. Please. And incidentally, if you're not looking at the IG report and finding in there seditious conspiracy, you're crazy. There is an intractable problem with the current constitution of government. It didn't come about just when President Trump was elected. It's been there for a long time, and it's been getting worse. And that is that essentially 90% or better of all the people who live in the immediate D.C. area are left of center, anywhere from partially left of center to crazy left. And this is a problem for the country because it leads to the sort of circumstance that we had happen with the FBI 2016 and the Department of Justice. There isn't an answer to this, folks, that doesn't involve a wholesale teardown of how these agencies are constituted and where they get their staff from. The idea that all of this can be centered in Washington, D.C., unfortunately, in the modern era, is probably one that we can no longer sustain. And if we do not actually have some kind of meaningful change in the relatively short term, given what's going on with that IG report, what's been documented. And remember, folks, we're talking about, these are supposedly mistakes. This is how Horowitz has characterized this. An error has a normal distribution. In other words, 50% likely to help you, 50% likely to hurt you. Exactly 0 of the 17 errors helped President Trump. And that is the same probability as tossing a coin and having it come up heads 17 times in a row. The odds of that happening are 1 in 131,072. It's very simple. It's 0.5 to the 17th power. The and that's the probability. Then to take take the inverse of that to get the to get the one in. So this is one of those things that when you look at it, is of a kind and character that if you were charged with bank robbery and there were 17 events that had to happen for you to have robbed the bank, if any one of them did not happen or didn't happen as described, it was not you that robbed the bank, it was somebody else. And all 17 of those facts were presented to the jury, and each of them had a 50% probability that the event occurred or didn't occur. All of them were 50%. You would go to prison because the criminal statute does not say must be proved beyond any possibility of not being the case. It says must be proved beyond a reasonable doubt. Well, 1 in 131,000 is well beyond a reasonable doubt. All right, so we are there, and yet we have everybody screaming about impeachment, everybody screaming about SMCA. At the same time, it is now established by the report that attempted to clear the FBI and Department of Justice that the FBI, the DOJ, and the Obama White House attempted to run a putsch in the 2016 elections. And when they did not succeed in the 2016 elections, they continued to try to run that same putsch to eject a lawfully elected president of the United States. Folks, that is the same sort of thing that goes on in banana republics all over the world. And if you believe that we have a representative government today, if you believe that you can actually go vote and fix any of the things wrong with this country, if you want to know why you're paying 5 times as much for health care as you should be, why there is absolutely zero actual attempt to do anything about any of this, you want to know why we have all of these different people running around with their hands in the air screaming about this and that and the other thing, you find it right there. Because the adversarial process is supposed to take place between ideas, the federalist concept that we have 50 state political laboratories which all experiment to their heart's content, and then we take the good ideas from all of them and put them together. If you think any of that stuff still exists in the United States, you have had too much crack to smoke. It's gone. And until and unless the people of this country are willing to stand up and say, nope, no more, this ends, all you're going to see is ass covering and attempts to find ways to keep the blow up from happening right now. I remind you that within the next 4 years, we are going to see a detonation in the nation's finances as a direct consequence of Medicare and Medicaid. Leave aside the private health system, which is going to blow up at the same time. Leave aside all of the state pension systems that are going to blow up at the same time. This is going to happen. It is mathematically certain. It is as mathematically certain as the IG's documentation that the odds of all of those mistakes being actual mistakes and not intentional acts is 1 in 131,072. Something to think about today, folks. I'm your ticker guy, and that's how it is.